It came in at 10:42 a.m., buried in a thread about scheduling logistics for the Monroe deposition. 6 people CC'd 3 attachments, no subject line change. It should have been routine. I clicked it mid-scroll, eyes already moving past the header toward the timestamps. That's when I saw it, a forwarded message. Threaded in. About halfway down. Not meant for me, from Nathan, to Jenna. Want to stay over again tonight. Ava has that mediation thing tomorrow. She'll be out early. My stomach turned cold before I even registered what I was reading. I read it again, slower. The email was 4 days old. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. My hand hovered on the mouse like it had just burned me. Then I scrolled further, more messages. Half-coded language, half inside jokes, a photo, her bare leg across his lap, a wine glass in the foreground. The caption, "I can't believe how easy this feels." It wasn't even hidden. My breath slowed. Not from calm. Just the way something slows before it breaks. Across the hall, someone laughed. Down the corridor, a copier started. I stared at the monitor. The blue, white glow of betrayal bleeding out across my face like an X-ray. I highlighted the entire thread. Pressed delete. I didn't cry. Not then. I had a meeting in 18 minutes. The Monroe prep folder was already open. I clicked into the outline. Adjusted one bullet point. Reread my intro paragraph. Saved twice. I walked to the bathroom. Splashed cold water on my face. Looked at myself under the fluorescent lights. Mascara steady. Jaw tight. Nothing cracked. Not visibly. Back in the conference room, I took my seat. When Nathan walked in, he didn't even glance at me. Just sat down 2 chairs over, loosened his collar, and started small talk with Marla from accounting like he hadn't just handed me the last 6 years of our relationship, like a used napkin. I kept my eyes on the slides. I spoke when it was my turn. My voice didn't shake. I didn't flinch when he laughed at someone's joke. After the meeting, he passed by me in the hallway, murmured "see you at home" like it was any other day. I didn't respond. I went back to my desk, closed my door. I opened a blank notepad, typed out everything I remembered. Dates. Hints. That Friday night he said he had drinks with an old friend. The Tuesday Jenna said she couldn't make dinner. The way her eyes avoided mine the week after my birthday. I made a list. Then I closed the laptop, stood up, and walked to HR to schedule the rest of my vacation days. No one asked why. They didn't have to. That night I didn't go home. I booked a hotel 3 blocks from the office. Slept in a white bed that didn't smell like him. Turned off my phone. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, something in me stopped. But it wasn't grief. Not yet. It was calculation. I let myself into the apartment just after 10 the next night. The lights were off. One lamp in the corner cast a soft gold pool over the floor. His jacket was draped over the back of a chair like always. His shoes were lined up near the door. Perfect. Predictable. Like the version of him I used to trust. He came out of the bedroom barefoot. Toothbrush in hand, hair damp. He paused when he saw me, then smiled like nothing was broken. "Didn't think you'd be back tonight." I didn't answer. I set my bag on the counter, unzipped it slowly, pulled out my keys, my charger, my headphones. He leaned against the doorway, brushing his teeth like we were talking about groceries. I turned and faced him. How long he blinked. Swallowed. Looked away for a second, then back again. I don't know. A few months. His voice was steady. Like he'd rehearsed. It wasn't planned, he added. It just kind of happened. I studied him. The way he kept his tone light. The way he stood casually, like this was a weather report, not a confession. With Jenna, he nodded. Said something about how close we all were, how it started with long talks. One night, feelings that caught them both off guard. He called it complicated. I called it expected. but only in my head. I asked if he loved her. He didn't say no. That was enough. I walked past him. Into the bedroom, packed a second bag. Just the things I needed. Nothing sentimental. Left the framed photo of us at the lake house on the dresser. Left the shirt of his I used to sleep in. Left the sweater she once borrowed. In the kitchen, I grabbed my laptop. My charger. The folder of documents I'd brought home for the Monroe case. He stood in the hallway watching me move. "You're leaving?" I didn't answer. "Where are you going?" Still nothing. "Ava, come on. Can we talk about this like adults?" I zipped the bag closed. "We are talking," I said finally. "Just not the way you wanted." I paused at the door, my hand on the knob. I hoped she was worth it. Then I left. The elevator hummed as it descended. My breath caught somewhere between my ribs and throat, but I held it in. No tears. No cracks. When I stepped out into the night, the cold air hit my face like a clean slate. I didn't know where I was going. But I knew I wasn't going back. I moved into a short-term sublet on the edge of Midtown. 7th floor walk up. No elevator. No heat that worked past midnight. But the windows were big and the light came in soft and steady. It didn't smell like anything. The woman I rented it from had gone to Costa Rica for 3 months and left behind one ceramic bowl, 2 mismatched mugs, and a couch that sagged in the middle. I liked it more than I expected to. There was no TV. No framed memories. No reminders of a past I was still trying to unhook from my ribs. I went quiet. Turned off social notifications. Deleted photos from my camera roll. Blocked Jenna's number first. Then Nathan's. The silence that followed felt like a blackout. A power failure in a city I used to live in. People at work noticed. A few side glances. A question or two. "Are you okay? Need anything?" I nodded. Smiled faintly. Said I was just tired. They accepted that. I think they wanted to. I started arriving at the office before the sun. Left after most of the floor went dark. I stopped asking for feedback. I stopped waiting for recognition. I did the work. Clean. Sharp. Unemotional. I started going to the gym in the building at 5:30 every morning. 15 minutes on the treadmill. 30 with weights. The silence in that basement room was different than the one in the apartment. More disciplined. Less haunted. I ate the same lunch every day. Lentils and kale. No sauce. Nothing indulgent. I kept my head down in meetings. Took notes. Said exactly what needed to be said and nothing more. At night I walked the long way home. Past the buildings I used to point out to Nathan. Past the little bookstore where Jenna and I bought each other copies of the same novel on the same birthday. I didn't cry. Not once. I waited for it. For the inevitable breaking point. The glass in the sink. The night in the shower. The crack in the voice on the phone with my mother. But it never came. Instead, something else happened. Cynthia Green started watching me. Not obviously. Not often. Just a glance across the table in a meeting. A brief pause when I spoke. A slight tilt of her head as if she was adjusting the focus. She never said anything. Not until the elevator ride 2 weeks after the email. Just us. Late. Heading down. She looked over at me once, then forward again. "You're the only one here who never wastes my time." That was it. The doors opened. She walked out. I stood there alone as the elevator reset. The silence didn't feel empty anymore. It felt earned. The next week, I noticed Cynthia again. Not directly. She never lingered. Never hovered. But I could feel it in small moments. The slight pause before she left a room. The way her eyes would sweep the table once more. Settling on mine for half a second longer than necessary. She had never acknowledged me before the elevator. Now she saw me. That was enough. On Thursday, she stopped at my desk on her way out, briefcase in one hand, coat draped neatly over her arm. She said one thing. Friday. 9 a.m. conference room C. Then she walked off. No explanation. No context. I cleared my schedule. That night, I went home and read everything I had on the DeLuca account. I wasn't even sure it was relevant. I just needed to be sharp. No improvising. No filler. Friday morning. The room was already half full when I arrived. Glass table. 2 bright lighting. A stack of handouts untouched at the end. Cynthia sat at the head. Her posture clean and still. The kind of stillness that makes other people shrink. Nathan was there. He didn't see me at first. He was flipping through his notes, laughing quietly at something a paralegal said. His tie was too loose, like he wanted to appear relaxed without actually feeling it. When I sat down across from him, he froze for half a second. The edge of his smile stiffened. His hand twitched once on the folder. He didn't greet him. The meeting began. Cynthia didn't introduce me, didn't frame it. She just opened the floor. Nathan launched into his pitch first. He spoke with that clipped, polished confidence he wore like a watch. Predictable. Measured. Expensive. Cynthia watched without blinking. When he finished, she turned to me. Your thoughts, I spoke clearly. Unrushed. Point by point. I didn't try to outshine. I didn't perform. I just laid it out. Where the case needed realignment. What risk they'd missed in the new clause. What language I'd already drafted to fix it. The handout was mine. The timestamp on the revision was midnight, 2 nights earlier. Nathan stayed quiet the entire time. When I finished, Cynthia looked at me once, then stood up and walked out of the room. No comment. No approval. Just absence. The room shifted. People gathered their things. Nathan avoided my eyes. As I walked past him, I could feel the heat rising off his neck. He said my name once, barely audible. I didn't stop. That afternoon, I worked from my office with the door shut. At 4:18 p.m., Cynthia sent a single line in an email. Clean work. No fluff, no signature, no emoji. No punctuation beyond the period. I read it once. Then again, I didn't smile. But I printed it, just once. Folded it in half and slid it into the back of my notebook. Not because I needed proof, but because it was the first real thing I'd earned in a long time. The subject line said only one word. Tuesday. The sender was Cynthia. No details. No body text. Just a calendar attachment with a conference room, a time, and one other invitee. Nathan Rivers. I accepted without comment. The room was on the 19th floor. A smaller space. Fewer chairs. No interns. Just 3 glasses of water already sweating into the table when I arrived. Nathan came in 2 minutes after me. He paused when he saw me. Then smiled like we were both guests at someone else's mistake. Didn't know you'd be in this one, he said. I didn't respond. Cynthia arrived exactly at the hour. Not early. Not late. She placed her tablet down. Removed one earring like it was interfering with the signal in her head. Then she began. The pitch was for a corporate restructuring. A high-profile client on the verge of a major acquisition. They wanted lean. They wanted ruthless. They wanted it yesterday. Nathan opened strong. He always did. Slides. Percentages. Tone polished like glass. Cynthia didn't interrupt. Just tapped once on her tablet. Then looked at me. Your angle, I had none of the flash. But I had the thread. The hidden clause in the merger doc that no one noticed. The detail buried in subsection 7 that would unravel the whole thing if left untouched. I laid it out. Quietly. Clearly. I didn't fill the silence. When I finished, Nathan leaned back in his chair. That's a stretch, he said, watching Cynthia's face. She didn't look at him. It's correct, she said instead. Just that. Nothing more. Nathan didn't speak again for the rest of the meeting. When it ended, Cynthia stood and gathered her things without a word. She left the room like someone walking away from a fire they didn't need to watch burn. I stood too. Nathan hesitated, his eyes on me. "You're getting good at this," he said under his breath. I looked at him once, then past him. The hallway outside was flooded with light. I didn't slow down. The text came at 11:03 on a Saturday morning. It was Jenna. "Hey, can we talk?" No punctuation, just white space and implication. I stared at it for a long time. The sun was coming through the blinds in the sublet, dust turning in slow spirals through the light. My coffee was still half full, still warm. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another one. "I just wanted to clear the air. I've heard some things. About the firm. About you." I locked the phone and turned it face down on the table. She texted again the next day. "They say you're up for partner." I read that one twice. Not because I was surprised. Because she was. The words had a shape I recognized. The same shape her voice used to take when she thought someone else was getting what she deserved. Like justice and attention were limited resources, and I was always quietly taking more than my share. The messages stopped after that. Silence settling in the way dust does after something's been shaken. In the office, the air changed. People started pausing when I walked in. Conversations trailing off. Someone mentioning my name 2 seconds too late to hide it. A partner I barely knew nodded at me in the elevator and called me by my full name. A week later, during a lunch break I wasn't part of, I walked into the break room and felt something freeze. No one turned. But no one spoke either. Someone cleared their throat. I got water and walked out. Jenna was in the building that afternoon. I saw her through the glass at reception. She was waiting for someone. Maybe Nathan. Maybe a partner she thought could still be swayed by her charm. She looked up at me as I passed. Her smile was small, careful. I didn't return it. I just kept walking. At my desk, I opened the newest draft of the Ferguson brief. Revised 2 sections. Deleted a third. No emotion in the edits. Just clean lines. Clean logic. That was what I had now. Control. Not drama. Not defense. Just presence. And people were starting to realize presence can't be ignored forever. It was raining the night Cynthia invited me to dinner. No subject line. Just a text with a name, a time, and a corner in Soho I hadn't been to in years. I arrived 10 minutes early. The place was low-lit, narrow. No sign out front. The kind of spot that didn't need to prove anything. There were 7 tables, all full, all quiet. She was already there. Corner booth. Black turtleneck. Glass of red wine untouched. I sat across from her. She didn't smile. Just said my name like it was already part of the evening. We didn't talk about the firm for a while. She asked if I cooked. I said not anymore. She nodded like that meant something. The waiter came. She ordered for both of us without asking. I didn't correct her. The food arrived. Still no talk of clients. No numbers. Just wine, warm plates, and quiet. Then she set her glass down and looked at me. "I've made a lot of men rich who didn't deserve it." Her voice was low. Not dramatic. Just true. She let the sentence sit. "You?" I don't mind backing. I didn't answer right away. Because I knew she wasn't complimenting me. She was warning me. Backing came with expectations. Visibility came with weight. She wasn't offering approval. She was offering responsibility. I nodded once. That was the only answer I had. We finished dinner without dessert. She paid. No performance. No gesture. Just slid her card over like it was any other Tuesday. Outside, the rain had slowed. She didn't wait for a car. Just stepped off the curb and disappeared into the street like the city opened for her. I stood there for a moment. Then walked the 10 blocks home in silence. The wine sat warm in my chest. Not dizzying. Not comforting. Just steady. And I realized, somewhere between block 7 and 8, I wasn't proving anything anymore. I was preparing. The email went out just after 3 p.m. Subject line: internal promotions effective immediately, no warning, no ceremony. I was listed third. Ava Cole, partner, corporate strategy division, no bold font, no fireworks, just black text in a list of 5. By the time I finished reading it, my inbox was already populating. Congratulations. Well deserved. So proud. Some from people I hadn't spoken to in months. Some from people who'd barely looked at me before now. I didn't respond. Nathan's office was across from mine. He read it at his desk. I saw the moment it hit him, a flicker of stillness, then a twitch in the corner of his mouth. His screen dimmed slightly as he leaned back in the chair we used to share conference calls in. He stood, walked by my open door once. Didn't stop. Walked by again an hour later. Still nothing. The third time he paused. Leaned on the frame like it was casual. Didn't expect it to happen this soon, he said, almost like it was a compliment. I looked at him once. Then back to my screen. He lingered a moment longer. Waiting for me to acknowledge him. Waiting for me to remind him of who I used to be. The woman who said yes before thinking. Who always filled the silence when it got heavy. I didn't move. Eventually, he did. He walked away slower than he meant to. That night, I stayed late. Not for the work, for the quiet. The lights in the hallway were off. The building's hum softened. Everything felt suspended. I stood at the window and watched the city pulse around itself. Somewhere out there, Jenna was probably reading the same email. Maybe refreshing it. Maybe pouring another glass of something crisp and expensive, pretending it didn't sting. Somewhere out there, Nathan was realizing the ground beneath him wasn't his anymore. I didn't feel triumphant. Just awake. There's a moment when the climb stops feeling vertical. When you're no longer rising. You're just there. And the air is still. It was late. The kind of late where the floors go quiet and the glass reflects back more than the city. Most people were gone. The cleaning crew was making its way down from the top. I stood at the elevator, folder in hand, coat unbuttoned. The doors opened. He was already inside. Nathan. He shifted slightly when he saw me, but didn't smile. I stepped in, pressed the lobby button. The doors closed. We stood side by side, the hum of descent the only sound between us. Floor 38. Then 37. He spoke first. I miss how things used to be. His voice was soft, practiced. I watched the numbers change above the doors. I said. Nothing cruel in it, nothing sharp. Just truth. Floor 35. Then 34. He didn't answer. I could feel the air shift. Not tension. Just recognition. He finally understood that the version of me he remembered no longer existed. And maybe never had. The elevator slowed. The doors opened. I walked out first. The building was quiet. The marble floor caught the sound of my steps. I didn't look back. Outside, the air was cold and clean. The streets were wet from a rain that had already passed. I pulled my coat closed, breathed in, and kept walking. Not faster. Not triumphant. Just forward.